Bullying is repeated abusive behavior that threatens the safety, well-being and health of individuals. We say that a student is being bullied when he is singled out systematically, basically picked on day in, day out over a period of time. Now, bullying can take many forms. It can be physical, it can be verbal, there can be extortion, there can be exclusion, there can be gesture bullying, and then we have our and cyberbullying. We know that there are 27% of post-primary pupils who are involved in bullying, either as bullies, victims, or bully victims. Out of those 27%, there would be 11% who reported that they actually bully, 12% reported that they were victimized, and then you have 4% who both bully and are bullied. So bullying in Ireland is very widespread, covering all schools from the different socioeconomic and denominational backgrounds. We mustn't underestimate that bullying is a group phenomenon. There are many sort of participant roles in bullying, so that rarely will you find that one bully is simply attacking another child on a very individual basis. We talk about now people who assist bullies, we talk about people who reinforce bullies, and then we have the silent majority. Without the silent majority, we wouldn't actually have any bullying at all. And then we have a minority of children who are those who try to defend children who are victimized. Practically the whole school population is involved in bullying in terms of then reinforcing it, rewarding it, and then condoning it. Children who get bullied can be children who are simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, so there is nothing different about them. However, a bully can often justify their behavior by picking on some difference. If there isn't an obvious difference, they will invent one. So essentially then a bully is somebody who simply needs to dominate another individual, to show their strength, to show their power by undermining a child. So obviously, therefore, the children who are most at risk would be children who are perhaps cautious, shy, quiet, sensitive, who will not or cannot retaliate with the same force that they are subjected to. Now, bullying affects the psychological health of a child, can be extremely damaging. It attacks the sense of self-worth, so there's an erosion of self-esteem and confidence. It can lead to, poor concentration, because a child would be taken up with the anxieties and the problems that they are under. School achievement can therefore deteriorate. Essentially, anxiety results to the extent that it can affect sleep, so there's insomnia, there's increasing distress. It can lead then to panic attacks, it can lead to depression, and it can lead to self-harm, and indeed it can lead to suicide. Children who are witness to bullying will reflect an increased level of anxiety and tension. They will also suffer from guilt, which can actually stay with them for life, particularly when they look back and realize they actually have done nothing to help the situation. They could have intervened, but they didn't feel they perhaps had the courage to intervene. And looking back, then there's an element of feeling that guilt, which is something that they have to live with for the rest of their lives, sadly. It's important to understand that once a victim, not always a victim. However, children who are victimized at school and who suffer anxiety and distress and indeed depression, and who may have attempted suicide, may then suffer these symptoms later in life, particularly when they meet stress again. So there is a sort of a vulnerability there. It's also, I think, extremely important for people to realize that bullying in schools carries a very poor prognosis for those children who bully. There is statistics showing that children, for example, who go through school with their aggressive behavior unchallenged, then in later life engage in domestic violence, in crime, that there are convictions then even in their young adulthood. So the prognosis then for children who bully is actually very poor. Research is showing us that children who bully are children who have an aggressive personality, they have poor impulse control, they are easily angered, and they have a very positive attitude to aggression. We also have now research data to show that they have poor school achievements, their self-esteem is poor, so in a sense they are compensating. There are also three strong interrelated motives for bullying. One would be then a need to dominate and to be in control. The other one is to inflict injury and misery on another individual. And the third would be that there's a payoff in some way for the bully, be it that is then money, if it relates to extortion, or indeed prestige in terms of having a gang around them who look up to them so that they are the cool dudes, so to speak. Well, from the expertise that the Anti-Bullying Centre has gained over the years from its research, it can provide schools with the necessary knowledge and tools to prevent and deal with bullying incidents. It also offers training to schools so that pupils, teachers and parents can get a better understanding of bullying. Adults have to set the standards of behavior. They have the duty, I suppose, to direct children towards acceptable standards of behavior. Bullying is all about values. It's a lack of respect, lack of empathy, and a lack of tolerance. There is a misconception that children who are victimized having the problem, that they are the ones perhaps who are inadequate or lacking in competence. But in fact, we now have research to show that it's the children who bully who have the problem. Bullying is caused by an interaction of personality characteristics and the environment. When there's a climate that condones and encourages and perhaps even promotes bullying, then of course anyone who has a predisposition towards bullying, who has a motive to bully others, will of course then be able to do so very easily. The most effective way to prevent and to counter bullying is to create a whole school approach to bullying. Research has also shown that the commitment of teachers is critical and that they develop a policy towards a zero tolerance to bullying. Also important would be to have measures to deal with victims and bullies and to be able to feed back to parents whenever they have come with their concerns about victimization and bullying. It's very important that parents take every opportunity to speak out about bullying. They should take every opportunity to talk to their children about bullying, no matter whether they feel they are victims or bullies. It's critical that they condemn bullying and that they have children understand that bullying is actions of a coward.